The blood on Sarah Chen's hands was still warm when she grabbed Jake Mitchell's uniform. Her FBI tactical vest was shredded with bullet holes. 3 shots, maybe 4. She couldn't remember anymore. "Take him," she whispered, nodding toward the German shepherd standing guard over her broken body. "Take Thor. Finish what I started." Jake knelt beside her on the mountain road at 11:47 p.m., his navy camouflage soaking up her blood. "Ma'am, I need to call for help." "No." Her grip tightened. "They're listening. They killed my team. They'll kill you too. And they'll kill my dog." The shepherd, Thor, growled at shadows Jake couldn't see. Sarah's eyes were fading. Promise me you'll finish this." Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. This is a story about courage, betrayal, and the price of truth. Comment below and tell us what city you're watching from. We want to see how far Sarah's story reaches. Now let's go back to where it all began. Jake Mitchell had been driving for 6 hours when he heard the gunfire. 3 sharp cracks echoing through the mountain pass. Then silence. Then screaming tires and the crunch of metal hitting trees. His instincts kicked in before his brain caught up. 15 years as a Navy SEAL meant some responses were automatic. Threat assessment, cover evaluation, exit strategies. He pulled his truck to the shoulder and killed the lights. The road ahead was dark, empty, just mountain wilderness and a silence that felt wrong. Jake opened his door slowly. The night air was cold. October in the Rockies. He was in his NWU Type 3 uniform, green and brown digital camouflage, because he'd come straight from base. 2 weeks of leave. First time off in 18 months. He'd been looking forward to sleeping in his own bed, eating food that wasn't military rations, maybe going fishing. Instead, he was walking toward gunfire. The overturned SUV came into view 30 yards ahead. Black. Government plates. Windows shattered. Steam rising from the engine. No movement. Jake moved like he'd been trained. Low. Quiet. Using the darkness. His hand went to his hip where his sidearm should have been. But he was on leave. Stateside. Unarmed except for a knife in his boot. That's when he heard the growling, deep, guttural, the sound of an animal protecting something it loved. Jake stopped, assessed. A German shepherd emerged from behind the wreckage. Adult male, tan and black coat, FBI K9 vest. The dog was limping, injured. But his teeth were bared and his eyes were locked on Jake. "Easy, boy," Jake said quietly. "I'm not here to hurt you." The shepherd didn't move, didn't back down. Trained to protect, trained to trust no one. Then Jake saw her. FBI Special Agent Sarah Chen was dragging herself away from the SUV. Her tactical vest was torn open. Blood everywhere. Too much blood. She collapsed after 3 feet, her fingers clawing at the asphalt. The shepherd, Thor, his vest said, moved to stand over her, still growling, still watching Jake. "Ma'am, I'm Commander Jake Mitchell, U.S. Navy. I'm here to help." Sarah's head lifted slightly. Her face was gray, shock setting in. "Stay back! Thor! Attack!" The shepherd launched forward. Jake could have run, should have run. A trained canine was lethal. But he stood perfectly still, hands at his sides, non-threatening. The dog hit him chest high, teeth snapping inches from his throat. Jake didn't flinch. "Stand down." Sarah's voice was weak. "Thor, stand down." The dog froze, looked back at his handler. She nodded. Thor backed off, returning to Sarah's side. Jake approached slowly. "Ma'am, you're badly injured. I need to call for medical. No. Sarah grabbed his wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong for someone dying. No calls. No radio. No help. You need a hospital. I need you to listen. She coughed, blood on her lips. They're coming. The people who did this. They killed my team. All of them. Shot us off the road. Executed everyone. Jake looked around. No other bodies visible. Where's your team? Dead. Half a mile back. Ambush. I'm the only one who made it this far. Her breathing was labored. Punctured lung, Jake recognized. He'd seen it before. They're coming to make sure I'm dead. To recover the evidence. What evidence? Sarah reached into her vest, pulled out a small flash drive, pressed it into Jake's hand. Her blood smeared across his palm. This, 8 months of investigation, proof of everything. Trafficking ring, children, powerful people involved, senators, judges, police chiefs. They've been operating for years, stealing kids, selling them to the highest bidder. Jake's stomach turned. Ma'am, if you have evidence, we need to get you to safety. Get you to people who can... There are no safe people. Sarah's voice was fading. They have agents inside the FBI, inside police departments, inside the government. That's how they knew where we'd be tonight. Someone leaked our location. Someone we trusted. She coughed again. More blood. I have maybe 5 minutes left, maybe less. So you need to listen. Jake knelt closer. Thor pressed against Sarah's side, whimpering. The flash drive goes to one person. Only one person I trust. Sarah recited an address. Marcus Blackwood, retired FBI Deputy Director. He trained me. He's clean. He'll know what to do. Sarah, Agent Chen, she corrected automatically, then laughed. It sounded wet, painful. Sorry, habit. You can call me Sarah. We're friends now. Sarah, You can't save me. 3 bullets, internal bleeding. I'm a doctor's daughter. I know what dying feels like. Her eyes locked on his. But you can finish what I started. You can make sure these children get home. Make sure the monsters who took them face justice. Why me? You don't know me. I know you're military. I know you stopped to help instead of driving past. I know you let my dog attack you without fighting back. Sarah's hand tightened on his. And I know you're the only chance these kids have, because everyone else I trusted is dead or compromised. Thor whined, licked Sarah's face. She smiled weakly. My boy. My good boy. Her other hand stroked his fur. You have to go with Commander Mitchell now. You have to protect him like you protected me. Sarah, I can't take your dog. You have to. Thor's evidence too. He was there, at the auctions. They used canine units to intimidate the kids, keep them quiet. Thor saw things, witnessed crimes. If they catch him, they'll kill him to eliminate the witness. Tears streamed down her face. Please, please don't let them kill my dog. He's a good boy. He deserves better than that. Jake looked at Thor. The shepherd stared back with intelligent eyes, understanding, grieving. Okay, Jake said quietly. I'll protect him. I promise. Thank you. Sarah's breathing was getting shallower. One more thing. Senator William Vaughn. He's the top, the one running everything. Military hero, family values politician. Complete monster. He's got protection everywhere, money, power, connections. But he has a weakness. What weakness? He thinks he's untouchable, thinks he's too important to get caught. That arrogance, that's how you'll get him. Sarah coughed violently. The next auction is in 48 hours. Virginia. Private estate. High-profile buyers. Vaughn will be there. It's all on the drive. Everything you need. Headlights appeared in the distance. Thor's head snapped up. He growled low. "That's them," Sarah whispered. "You have to go. Now. Take Thor. Take the evidence. Run!" "I'm not leaving you. I'm already dead. I was dead the moment they shot me." Her voice was firm despite the pain. "But those kids aren't dead. Not yet. You can save them. But only if you go right now." The headlights were getting closer. Jake made a decision. He'd been trained to make impossible choices in impossible situations. This was just another one. "Come on, Thor. We're moving." The shepherd didn't budge, stayed pressed against Sarah. "Thor, heal." Sarah's command was weak but authoritative. "Go with Jake. Protect. That's an order." Thor looked at his handler, whined, then slowly, reluctantly, moved to Jake's side.
"Good boy," Sarah whispered. "Be brave. Be strong. Make me proud."
Jake grabbed Thor's collar, started backing toward his truck. The headlights were maybe a quarter-mile away now. "Commander Mitchell," Sarah called out. He stopped, looked back. "Don't trust the military either. Someone in your chain of command might be compromised. Vaughn was Army before he was a senator. He has friends, loyalists, people who owe him." Her eyes were closing. "Trust no one, except Marcus, except Thor, and yourself. I won't let you down." "I know," she smiled. "That's why I chose you." Jake ran. He reached his truck as the headlights crested the hill. 2 vehicles, moving fast. He threw open the passenger door, and Thor jumped in without hesitation. Well-trained, professional. Jake peeled out, killing his headlights, taking a side road that branched off the main highway. In his rearview mirror, he saw the 2 vehicles stop at the crash site, saw figures emerging, saw flashlight beams searching. He didn't see Sarah anymore, but he heard the gunshots, 3 of them, close together, making sure. Beside him, Thor howled. The sound was heartbreaking, pure grief. The dog knew his partner was gone. "I'm sorry, boy," Jake said quietly. "I'm so sorry." He drove for 20 minutes before pulling over at an abandoned rest stop. His hands were shaking. Adrenaline crash. Combat veterans knew the feeling well. The body's response to extreme stress. Thor was pressed against the passenger door, trembling, crying. Jake had seen dogs mourn before, in Afghanistan when their handlers were killed. The animals understood loss, understood death. "Hey!" Jake reached over slowly. Thor's head snapped toward him. For a moment, Jake thought the dog might bite. Then Thor leaned into his hand, seeking comfort, seeking connection. "We're going to finish what she started," Jake promised. "We're going to make sure those kids get home, and we're going to make the people who killed Sarah pay." Thor's tail thumped once against the seat. Jake examined the flash drive. Small, innocuous, worth killing for, worth dying for. He plugged it into his phone. The files loaded slowly. Video files, audio recordings, documents, financial records. 8 months of investigation condensed into gigabytes of damning evidence. The first video made his stomach turn. Children, ranging from 5 to maybe 14, standing on a stage. Adults in suits examining them like livestock. Bidding, buying, taking them away. Jake forced himself to watch, to see their faces, to remember why this mattered. One girl, maybe 8 years old, looked directly at the camera. Her eyes were empty, dead, already broken by whatever she'd endured. Jake closed the video. He'd seen enough. More than enough. He pulled up Sarah's personnel file. She'd included it on the drive. Smart, giving him context, giving him her story. Sarah Chen, 32 years old, FBI for 12 years. Started as a field agent, worked her way up to special agent, specialized in crimes against children, had put away dozens of predators, had saved hundreds of kids, and she died alone on a mountain road because she got too close to the truth. Not alone, Jake corrected himself. Thor had been there, stayed with her to the end. He scrolled through Sarah's investigation notes. Names, dates, locations. A trafficking network spanning 12 states, annual revenue exceeding $50 million. Over 300 children taken in the past 5 years. Most never recovered. And at the center of it all, Senator William Vaughn, war hero, Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, 3 terms in the Senate, currently running for president on a platform of family values and protecting children. The irony was nauseating. Jake's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Then he remembered. He needed help. Needed extraction. Needed someone he could trust. Mitchell. Jake, it's Danny. Danny Rodriguez. Team 3. Jake relaxed slightly. Danny had been a fellow SEAL for 8 years. Solid operator. Good friend. Currently working intelligence at Naval Special Warfare Command. Danny, thank God. I need help. Serious help. What's going on, brother? You sound stressed. Jake explained. The crash. Sarah. The evidence. The flash drive. The men hunting them. Danny listened without interrupting. Then, Jesus, Jake, you stepped in it. I know. I need extraction, protection, someone I can trust to get this evidence to the right people. Yeah, absolutely. Where are you? Jake hesitated. Something felt off. Danny had answered too quickly, agreed too easily. Jake, you still there? Yeah, I'm at mile marker 147 on Route 89. Old rest stop. You know it? I know it. Sit tight. I'll have a team there in 45 minutes. We'll get you out safe. Thanks, Danny. I owe you. That's what brothers are for. The line went dead. Thor growled. Jake looked at the dog. What is it, boy? Thor's ears were up, alert. He moved to the window, staring out at the darkness. Then it hit Jake. He'd lied about his location, gave Danny coordinates that were 60 miles south of where he actually was. An old SEAL trick. Test someone's loyalty by feeding them false information. If Danny was clean, nothing would happen. If Danny was compromised, someone would show up at that false location. Jake started the truck, drove north instead of south, found a highway overpass and parked underneath, out of sight, waiting. 30 minutes later, his phone buzzed with a text from Danny. Team is at mile marker 147. Where are you? Jake's blood ran cold. 45 minutes. That's what Danny had said. But the team arrived in 30. Which meant they'd already been mobilized, already been moving before Jake even called. Danny was compromised, had been waiting for Jake to reach out, had been ready to spring the trap. Sarah had been right. Trust no one. Jake turned off his phone, pulled the battery. They could track phones, track signals. He'd been trained in counter-surveillance. Time to use it. Looks like it's just you and me, Thor. The shepherd tilted his head, listening, understanding. Jake drove through the night, avoiding main highways, using back roads, stopping for gas only at small stations that didn't have cameras, paying cash. Thor stayed alert, watching, sensing danger before Jake could see it. Around 4 a.m., Jake pulled into a rundown motel, the kind that didn't ask questions. Paid the desk clerk in cash for a room in the back. No ID required. Inside, he locked the door, put a chair against it. Old habits. Thor sniffed every corner, checking for threats. Jake collapsed on the bed, exhausted, but his mind wouldn't stop. Sarah was dead. Danny was compromised. The trafficking ring had people everywhere, and Jake was alone with a dog and a flash drive worth killing for. "What have I gotten myself into?" he muttered. Thor jumped onto the bed, curled up beside Jake. The dog's warmth was comforting, solid, real. Jake reached for the flash drive again. If he was going to finish Sarah's mission, he needed to understand everything. Needed to know what he was fighting against. He opened a file labeled Blackwood, read first. It was a video message. Sarah recording herself. She looked tired, scared, but determined. "Marcus, if you're watching this, I'm probably dead. They got to me before I could get to you. I'm sorry. I know you told me to be careful. I know you warned me these people were too dangerous. You were right." She paused, wiped her eyes. "But I couldn't let it go. Couldn't let these children suffer while monsters walked free. So I kept digging, kept investigating, and I found everything." The whole network, from street-level kidnappers all the way to Senator Vaughn. Another pause. "Marcus, you trained me. You taught me that justice matters more than safety, that some fights are worth dying for. So I'm asking you to finish this. Take my evidence. Use it. Bring these people down." Her voice broke. "And if something happens to Thor, if he doesn't make it to you, please know that he was the best partner I ever had. The best friend. He deserved better than what I put him through." The video ended. Jake looked at Thor. The dog was watching him with those intelligent eyes. "She loved you," Jake said quietly, "and she trusted you to finish what she started." Thor's tail thumped once. Jake pulled up the address Sarah had given him. Marcus Blackwood, Montana. 1,200 miles away. They needed to move, needed to get to Marcus before Vaughn's people found them. But first, Jake needed rest, needed to sleep. He couldn't fight if he collapsed from exhaustion. He set an alarm for 2 hours, closed his eyes. Thor pressed against his side, providing warmth and comfort, and the knowledge that someone was watching. Someone was guarding. For the first time in his military career, Jake Mitchell understood what it meant to trust a dog with his life. The alarm woke him at 6 a.m., sunlight streaming through cheap curtains. Thor was already awake, sitting by the door, alert, ready. Jake checked his truck. Someone had slashed 2 tires during the night. Damn it. They'd found him. Not Danny's team. Someone else. Someone watching. Waiting. Jake grabbed his bag, grabbed Thor's leash. They moved fast, cutting through the motel parking lot, heading for the highway. A car pulled up beside them. Black sedan, tinted windows. "Commander Mitchell, get in. We're here to help." Jake recognized the voice. Military. Official. "Who sent you?" "Naval Special Warfare Command. We're here to extract you. Get you somewhere safe." Sarah's voice echoed in his head. "Don't trust the military either." "I appreciate it, but I'm good." "Commander, that's an order. Get in the vehicle." Jake saw movement in the back seat. Multiple people. Armed. Not a rescue. A capture. "Thor, run!" The shepherd bolted. Jake followed. Behind them, car doors opened. Footsteps. Shouts. "Stop! That's an order!" Orders didn't matter when the people giving them were compromised. Jake and Thor disappeared into the woods behind the motel. Running. Surviving. Fighting. The hunt had begun. The woods were dense with underbrush, and Jake's lungs burned after the first quarter mile. Thor ran ahead, weaving through trees with practiced efficiency. FBI canines were trained for pursuit, for endurance. The dog barely seemed winded. Jake heard voices behind them, getting closer. Professional hunters, not amateurs. "Split up! Rodriguez, take the north trail. Morgan, circle east." Rodriguez. That name hit Jake like a punch. His friend Danny's last name. Were they related? Did it matter? Thor stopped suddenly, ears up. He detected something Jake couldn't hear yet. "What is it, boy?" The shepherd moved left, toward thicker cover. Jake followed without question. 5 seconds later, 2 men passed within 15 feet of where they'd been standing. Military contractors by their gear. Expensive equipment. Private sector, not government. Worse than government. They waited until the footsteps faded. Then Thor moved again, leading Jake deeper into the wilderness. Away from the roads, away from civilization. Toward safety, or toward more danger. Jake couldn't tell. After 40 minutes of hard running, they reached a creek. Thor drank deeply. Jake followed suit, cupping cold water in his hands. Tasted like freedom and desperation. "We need to keep moving," Jake said quietly. "They'll bring dogs, track us." Thor looked at him with those intelligent eyes, tilted his head. "Yeah, I know you're a dog, but you're not their dog. You're Sarah's dog. And now you're my dog. So we stick together." The shepherd's tail wagged once. Agreement. Partnership. They followed the creek upstream. Water would mask their scent. Basic evasion tactics. Jake had done this in SEER training. Survival, evasion, resistance, escape. Never thought he'd use it stateside. 2 hours later, they emerged at a rural highway. Jake flagged down a pickup truck driven by an elderly man with kind eyes and a Vietnam veteran's cap. "You look like hell, son," the old man said. "You in trouble?" "Yes, sir, but not the kind where I'm the bad guy." The veteran studied him, saw the military bearing, saw the desperation, saw Thor sitting calmly despite everything. "Get in the back. I'll take you to the next town. After that, you're on your own." "Thank you, sir." "Don't thank me. Thank your uniform. I wore one like it 50 years ago. Still remember what it means to need help and have nowhere to turn." They rode in the truck bed for 30 miles. Thor pressed against Jake, providing warmth against the wind. Jake's mind raced. He needed transportation, needed to reach Montana, needed to stay off the grid. The veteran dropped them at a bus station in a town called Ridgemont. Population maybe 3,000. Small enough to avoid cameras. Big enough to have options. "Stay safe, Commander," the old man said. "Whatever you're fighting for, I hope it's worth it." "It is, sir. I promise it is." Jake bought a bus ticket with cash. Destination? Helena, Montana. 22-hour ride with multiple stops. Plenty of time for things to go wrong. But it was the best option. Driving meant car rentals, which meant ID checks and paper trails. Flying meant TSA and facial recognition. The bus was anonymous, slow, safe. He bought dog food and water bowls at a convenience store. The clerk barely looked at him. Perfect. They boarded the bus. Jake took a seat in the back. Thor settled at his feet, hidden from view. Service animals were allowed. FBI K9 vest was good for something. The bus pulled out at 2 p.m. Jake leaned his head against the window and tried to process the past 12 hours. Sarah dead. Danny compromised. Military hunting him. A flash drive full of evidence worth more than his life. His phone buzzed. He'd put the battery back in, stupidly hoping for news. The screen showed 15 missed calls, all from numbers he didn't recognize. One voicemail. He listened. "Commander Mitchell, this is Captain Sarah Brennan, Naval Criminal Investigative Service. You're wanted for questioning in connection with the death of FBI Special Agent Sarah Chen. We know you were at the scene. We have witnesses. We need you to turn yourself in immediately. This is not optional. You're AWOL. You're interfering with a federal investigation, and if you run, we'll have no choice but to classify you as hostile." Jake deleted the voicemail. NCIS. Great. Now his own people were hunting him. Except they weren't his people. Not if they were working for Vaughn. Thor whined softly. Jake reached down and stroked his fur. "We're okay, boy. We're still okay." The bus made stops. People got on. People got off. Jake kept his head down, avoided eye contact, tried to look like just another passenger. At a truck stop outside Bozeman, he got off to use the restroom. Left Thor with instructions to stay hidden. The shepherd understood. Stayed under the seat like a shadow. Jake was washing his hands when two men entered. Military contractors. Same type who'd chased him in the woods. They didn't see him immediately. "We're talking. Intel says Mitchell's headed northwest, probably trying to reach Canada." "Why Canada?" "Asylum, maybe? Or crossing to disappear. Doesn't matter. We've got teams at every border crossing. He won't make it." "What about the dog?" "Kill it. Can't have a trained canine running around with evidence." Jake's jaw tightened. They wanted Thor dead. Wanted to eliminate every trace of Sarah's investigation. Not happening. He waited until they left, then hurried back to the bus. Thor was exactly where he'd been left. Good boy. Good partner. The bus continued north. Hours blurred together. Jake dozed fitfully, waking at every stop, checking for threats. Around 10 p.m., his phone buzzed again. Different number. He almost ignored it. Then he recognized the area code. Montana. Marcus Blackwood's area code. He answered. "Hello?" "Commander Mitchell," an older man's voice, gruff, suspicious. "This is Marcus Blackwood." Jake's heart rate spiked. "How did you get this number?" "Sarah programmed it into her phone. Emergency protocol. If she went dark, her phone would automatically send me key contacts." Marcus paused. "I got the alert 6 hours ago. Tried calling her. No answer. Then I started seeing news reports. FBI agent killed in ambush. Entire team dead. And suddenly, a Navy SEAL is wanted for questioning. Mr. Blackwood, I didn't kill her. I tried to save her." "I know. If you'd killed her, you wouldn't be running. You'd have destroyed the evidence and disappeared." Marcus's voice softened slightly. "Did she give you the flash drive?" "Yes." "And Thor?" "He's with me. Safe." Marcus exhaled. Relief. Good. That dog was her whole world. She'd have given anything to keep him safe. She did give everything. Silence on the line. Then, "Where are you?" Jake hesitated. Trust was dangerous. But Sarah had trusted Marcus, had made Jake promise to find him. "On a bus, headed your way, should arrive tomorrow afternoon." "Don't come to my house. They'll be watching. Surveillance. Drones. Maybe satellite. Vaughn has access to military intelligence." Marcus thought for a moment. "There's an old church, 20 miles outside Helena. St. Michael's. Been abandoned for 15 years. Meet me there tomorrow at 4 p.m. Come alone. Well, you and Thor." "How do I know you're really Marcus Blackwood? How do I know this isn't a trap?" "You don't. But Sarah trusted me with her life. And now you have to trust me with yours." Marcus paused. "She was like a daughter to me. Trained her myself. Watched her grow from a rookie agent into one of the best investigators I've ever seen. I loved that girl. And whoever killed her is going to pay." But first, we get those children home. That's what she'd want. Jake made a decision. 4 p.m., St. Michael's. I'll be there. Commander, one more thing. They're going to try to discredit you. Say you're mentally unstable. PTSD. That you killed Sarah in some kind of psychotic break. It's starting already. News reports, social media, character assassination. Let them say whatever they want. I know the truth. Truth doesn't matter if nobody believes it. We need to be smart, strategic. Can't just dump the evidence online and hope for the best. Vaughn has people who claim it's fake. Deep fake, manipulated. We need a plan. Then we make a plan. Tomorrow. Together. Tomorrow, Marcus agreed. And Commander, watch your back. You've made powerful enemies. They'll stop at nothing to silence you. The line went dead. Jake leaned back in his seat. Tomorrow, he'd meet Marcus. Tomorrow, they'd figure out how to expose Vaughn. Tomorrow, they'd start fighting back. Tonight, he just had to survive. The bus pulled into a rest stop around midnight. Most passengers got off to stretch their legs, use the facilities, buy food. Jake stayed in his seat. Too risky. But Thor needed to relieve himself, needed to move. Come on, boy, quick walk. They exited through the back door, found a dark corner of the parking lot. Thor did his business quickly. Efficient, professional. That's when Jake noticed the man watching them. Casual clothes, baseball cap, hands in pockets. But his eyes were alert, trained, tracking. Jake's hand went instinctively to his hip. No weapon, just a knife in his boot. Against a trained operator, that wasn't much. The man started walking toward them. Thor, heel. The shepherd moved to Jake's side. Ready, protective. Commander Mitchell? The man's voice was neutral. My name is Agent David Park, FBI. I need you to come with me. Show me credentials. Park pulled out a badge. FBI looked legitimate. But so did a lot of fake badges. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me who sent you. Nobody sent me. I'm here on my own. Because Sarah Chen was my friend. My partner before she got assigned to the trafficking task force. Park's voice cracked slightly. I heard about the ambush. Heard you were there. Heard you tried to help her. How'd you find me? I didn't. I've been watching bus stations between here and Montana. Figured if you were running, you'd avoid airports and rental cars. Bus made sense. Park looked at Thor. Plus, traveling with a FBI K-9 is pretty distinctive. Jake studied the man, trying to read him, trying to determine if this was genuine or another trap. Sarah's dead because someone inside the FBI leaked her location. How do I know you're not one of them? You don't. But I know Sarah wouldn't have given you that flash drive unless she trusted you. And I know she'd want me to help finish what she started. Park stepped closer. Look, I get it. You don't know me. Don't trust me. But we're on the same side. I want Vaughn dead just as much as you do. Dead isn't the goal. Justice is the goal. Justice for a guy like Vaughn? He'll never see the inside of a cell. Too connected, too powerful, too protected. Park's voice hardened. But a bullet? That's justice he can't buy his way out of. Jake shook his head. That's revenge, not justice. Sarah died trying to do this the right way. Legal, by the book. I'm not going to dishonor her memory by becoming a murderer. Even if it means Vaughn walks free? He won't walk free. Not if we do this right. Park studied him, then nodded slowly. Okay, your call. But if the legal route doesn't work, if he uses his power to bury this, I'm going after him my way. Fair enough. So what's the plan? Jake hesitated. Bringing Park into this meant another variable, another risk. But it also meant backup, support, someone who knew the FBI from the inside. I'm meeting someone tomorrow, Montana, someone Sarah trusted. Marcus Blackwood. Jake's hand moved toward his boot knife. How do you know that name? Because Sarah talked about him constantly. Her mentor, her hero. The one man in the bureau she said was completely clean. Park raised his hands. I'm not here to stop you. I'm here to help. Let me come with you. Extra eyes, extra protection. And if Marcus vouches for me, then you know I'm legit. And if he doesn't vouch for you, then I walk away. No hard feelings. But Commander, you're one man with a dog and a flash drive against a network that controls billions of dollars and hundreds of people. You need allies, and I'm offering to be one. Thor sniffed Park's hand, didn't growl, didn't show aggression. Dogs were good judges of character, better than humans sometimes. Okay, Jake said carefully. You can come to Montana, but you ride a different bus, different route. We meet at St. Michael's tomorrow at 4 p.m. You show up with anyone else, with any backup, I disappear. Understand? Understood. And Park, if you're lying, if you're working for them, I will put you down without hesitation. Park met his eyes. If I was working for them, you'd already be dead. They sent 12 contractors after you. I'm here alone, unarmed, risking my career and my life to help. So yeah, I get that you don't trust me. But at some point, you're going to have to trust somebody. Because you can't do this alone. He was right. Jake knew he was right. But trust had nearly gotten him killed 3 times in the past 24 hours. Tomorrow, St. Michael's, 4 p.m. Park nodded. I'll be there. He walked away, disappeared into the rest stop crowd. Jake and Thor returned to the bus. Most passengers were already boarded. The driver was doing a final head count. They took their seats. The bus pulled out, headed north into the darkness. Jake's phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. You just made a mistake trusting Park. He's Vaughn's nephew. He's been playing you from the start. Turn around now, or you're dead by morning. Jake's blood went cold. He showed the text to Thor, as if the dog could read. Vaughn's nephew? Could that be true? But who sent the text? Someone trying to help? Or someone trying to isolate Jake further? Make him paranoid? Turn him against potential allies? The paranoia was working. Jake didn't know who to trust. Didn't know what was real anymore. He pulled up Sarah's personnel file again. Scrolled through her contacts. Found David Park, FBI Special Agent, 12 years service, decorated, multiple commendations. But nothing about family connections, nothing about Vaughn. Jake opened a browser, searched David Park, FBI, and William Vaughn, Senator. Nothing. No connection. No shared photos, no family trees linking them. But that didn't mean anything. Powerful people were good at hiding connections. The bus rolled on through the night. Jake couldn't sleep, couldn't rest. Every passenger looked suspicious. Every stop felt like a trap. Around 3 a.m., Thor shifted, put his head in Jake's lap, offering comfort, offering connection. The dog didn't have doubts, didn't second guess. Just stayed loyal, just stayed present. What would Sarah do? Jake whispered. How would she handle this? Thor's tail thumped softly. Sarah would trust her instincts, would trust her training, would trust that good people still existed even when surrounded by corruption. Jake made a decision. He'd meet Park at St. Michael's, would let Marcus verify his identity, and if Park was legitimate, they'd work together. If he wasn't, Jake would deal with it then. The bus arrived in Helena at 2:47 p.m. Jake got off with Thor, found a diner, ordered coffee and eggs, ate mechanically while watching the door. No one suspicious. No one tracking him. Maybe he'd actually made it. Maybe the worst was behind them. At 3:30 p.m., Jake paid in cash and left. Found a rusty bicycle chained outside an apartment building. Borrowed it. He'd return it later. Probably. He pedaled toward St. Michael's with Thor running beside him. The old church appeared after 20 minutes. Abandoned. Windows broken. Door hanging off hinges. Perfect place for a meeting. Or an ambush. Jake circled the building, checking sightlines, checking approaches. Old SEAL habits. A truck was parked behind the church. Montana plates. 30 years old. Looked like it might not start again. Marcus Blackwood emerged from the shadows. 68 years old. Gray hair, weathered face, eyes that had seen too much and remembered everything. Commander Mitchell. Mr. Blackwood. They shook hands. Marcus's grip was firm, steady. You have the flash drive? Jake pulled it from his pocket. Marcus examined it carefully, then pulled out a laptop from his truck, plugged it in, opened the files. His face went pale. Dear God, Marcus whispered. She actually got everything. Every name, every location, every transaction. Tears filled his eyes. That brave, stupid girl. She knew this would get her killed. Knew they'd never let her live with this evidence. And she did it anyway. She died protecting children she'd never met. She died doing her job. The job I trained her to do. Marcus closed the laptop. We're going to make sure her sacrifice means something. We're going to burn Vaughn's entire operation to the ground. How? I still have contacts. Journalists who can't be bought. Federal prosecutors who still believe in justice. We go to them simultaneously. Release everything at once. Make it too big to bury. Vaughn will fight back. Character assassination, legal challenges, government pressure. Let him fight. The evidence is irrefutable. Video, audio, financial records, witness testimony from Sarah's investigations. He can't make all of it disappear. Marcus looked at Thor. And we have a trained FBI canine who witnessed crimes. Dogs can't testify in court, but they sure as hell can lead us to evidence. Footsteps crunched on gravel behind them. Jake spun, hand going to his boot knife. David Park emerged from the tree line, hands raised. Easy, Commander, it's just me. Who the hell are you? Marcus demanded. FBI Special Agent David Park, Sarah Chen's former partner. Marcus pulled a gun from his waistband. Sarah never mentioned a partner named Park. Because I was her partner 6 years ago, before you became her mentor, before she got assigned to trafficking cases. Park looked at Jake. I told you, Sarah and I were friends. I want to help. How'd you find this place? Jake asked. Followed you from the bus station. Sorry, Commander, but I needed to make sure you actually made it here, that you weren't intercepted. Marcus kept the gun trained on Park. Give me one reason I shouldn't put a bullet in you right now. Because I have evidence too. Evidence Sarah sent me before she died. Insurance policy in case something happened to her. Park pulled out his phone, showed them an email from Sarah, dated 3 days before her death. Subject line, If I die. Marcus read it, his hand lowered slightly. This is really from her? Check the metadata. Check the encryption. It's real. Park's voice was steady. Sarah didn't trust just one person with everything. She spread her evidence across multiple people. You got the main files. I got backup copies and her personal notes. Together, we have everything needed to bury Vaughn. Marcus looked at Jake. Your call, Commander. You're the one who made the promise to Sarah. What do we do? Jake studied Park, trying to read him, trying to determine truth from lies. Thor walked over to Park, sniffed him carefully, then sat down, calm, accepting. Sarah's dog trusted him. That had to mean something. "Okay," Jake said finally. "You're in. But one wrong move, one sign you're compromised, and Marcus puts a bullet in you. Understood?" "Understood." Marcus holstered his gun. "All right then, we're doing this. We're taking down Senator William Vaughn and everyone in his network. But we need to be smart, strategic. These people have killed dozens to protect their secret. They won't hesitate to kill us, too." "So what's the plan?" Park asked. Marcus smiled grimly. "We give them exactly what they're afraid of. The truth. All of it. And we make sure the whole world is watching when we do." They moved Marcus's operation inside the church. The old building smelled like rot and forgotten prayers, but the thick stone walls would block surveillance. Marcus pulled equipment from his truck: laptops, satellite phones, a portable signal jammer. "You've been preparing for this," Jake observed. "For 20 years, ever since I realized how deep the corruption went." Marcus booted up a laptop. "I left the bureau because I couldn't stomach protecting criminals. But I never stopped investigating, never stopped collecting evidence. Sarah's files just gave me the last pieces I needed." Park examined the windows. "We need to assume they know we're here. Drones, satellites. They have eyes everywhere." "Let them watch," Marcus said. "We're not hiding anymore. We're going on the offensive." Jake pulled out Sarah's flash drive. "What's the plan? Specifically?" Marcus opened a secure messaging app. "I have contacts at 3 major news networks, journalists who've been chasing trafficking stories for years but never had hard evidence. We give them everything, simultaneously. They verify it independently. Then they go live, all at once." "Vaughn will claim it's fake," Park said. "Deep fake, manipulated. He'll have his people attacking the credibility before the first story finishes airing. That's why we need more than the flash drive." Marcus looked at Jake. "We need living witnesses, people who participated, people who can testify that the evidence is real." Sarah mentioned someone, Daniel Pierce, mid-level coordinator, in federal prison. "Pierce is dead," Marcus said flatly. "Killed in his cell 2 days ago. Officially ruled a suicide. Unofficially, someone got to him." Jake's stomach sank. "Then who else?" "There's one person who might talk. Amanda Reeves. She was a recruiter for the network. Found vulnerable kids, foster care, runaways. Promised them safety and delivered them to hell." Marcus pulled up a photo. Woman in her 40s. Hard eyes. Harder face. She got arrested 8 months ago on unrelated charges. Drug trafficking. She's in county lockup in Virginia. Hasn't been transferred to federal yet. "Why would she talk?" Park asked. "She's as guilty as the rest of them." "Because Vaughn abandoned her, left her to rot, didn't pay for her lawyer, didn't protect her family. She's angry, bitter, and most importantly, scared. She knows if she goes to federal prison, she'll end up like Pierce." Jake considered this. "We break her out. Offer her protection in exchange for testimony." "Break her out?" Park shook his head. "That's insane. We'll all go to prison." "We're already wanted fugitives," Jake pointed out. "At least I am. What's one more charge?" Marcus smiled grimly. "I like how this SEAL thinks. Aggressive, direct. Sarah would have approved." "Sarah would have wanted us to do this legally," Park insisted. "Work within the system, not break every law trying to expose law breakers." "The system is broken," Marcus snapped. "The system protected Vaughn for 20 years, protected hundreds of predators, let thousands of children suffer. So excuse me if I'm not interested in following rules that only apply to honest people. Park looked at Jake. And you're okay with this? With throwing away your honor? Your career? Everything you've served for? Jake thought about Sarah bleeding out on that mountain road. Thought about the children in those videos. Thought about the girl with dead eyes staring at the camera. I didn't serve my country for 20 years to protect monsters. I served to protect the innocent. If breaking the law is what it takes to save those kids, then I'll break every law there is. Thor barked once. Affirmation. Agreement. Park rubbed his face. Fine, we do this, but we do it smart. We need intel on the jail, guard schedules, camera locations, Reeves's cell placement. I have contacts, Marcus said. Give me 2 hours. He stepped outside to make calls. Jake and Park were left alone in the church, with Thor between them. The silence was heavy. You still don't trust me, Park said finally. Should I? Probably not. If I was in your position, I wouldn't trust anyone. Park sat on a broken pew, but I'm going to tell you something anyway. Something that might help you understand why I'm here. I'm listening. Sarah and I were partners 6 years ago, before she specialized in trafficking cases. We worked violent crimes, kidnappings, assaults, standard FBI stuff. Park's voice went quiet. We got a case. Missing girl. 10 years old. Taken from her front yard in broad daylight. We investigated for 2 weeks. Found nothing. Then Sarah got a tip. Anonymous. Said the girl was being held at a warehouse in Baltimore. Jake waited. We raided it. Found 12 kids, all under 14, all being held for auction. The girl we were looking for was there. We saved her. Saved all of them. Park's hands clenched. But there were buyers there too. Rich men. Powerful men. We arrested them all. Documented everything. Built an airtight case. What happened? The case disappeared. All of it. Evidence vanished. Witnesses recanted. The men we arrested walked free. And Sarah and I were reprimanded for overstepping our authority. We were told to drop it, forget it, move on. But Sarah didn't move on. She couldn't. Those kids haunted her. She kept investigating, kept digging. Eventually, she got reassigned to the trafficking task force. And I got partnered with someone else. Someone who didn't ask uncomfortable questions. Park met Jake's eyes. I should have kept investigating with her. Should have stayed on the case, but I didn't. I let her fight alone, and now she's dead. This is about guilt. This is about finishing what we started 6 years ago. This is about making sure Sarah's death means something. And yeah, it's about guilt. But it's also about doing what's right. Finally. Jake studied him. The pain in Park's voice felt genuine, the regret real. Okay, Jake said. I believe you. Just like that? Thor trusts you. That's good enough for me. Marcus returned 40 minutes later. I have the intel. Reeves is in cell block C, 3rd floor. 2 guards on rotation. Cameras everywhere. But there's a weakness. They do a prisoner transfer every Tuesday. Move inmates to court appearances. During the transfer, security is lighter. Distracted. Tomorrow is Tuesday, Park said. Exactly. We have 1 shot at this. If we miss it, Vaughn will have time to move her. Or kill her. Or both. Jake looked at the equipment Marcus had brought. What's the plan? You and I go in as federal marshals. Fake credentials. Fake transfer orders. Park stays here as backup. If something goes wrong, he calls in real help. Why can't I go with you? Park asked. Because you're FBI. Someone might recognize you. Jake's military. Different database. Different background checks. He's safer. And Thor? Jake asked. Thor comes with us. K-9 units are standard for prisoner transfers. Plus, he knew Sarah, worked with her. If Reeves saw Sarah during any of the investigations, Thor might trigger her memory, make her more willing to talk. It was thin, risky. A dozen things could go wrong. When do we leave? Jake asked. Dawn. 6-hour drive to Virginia. Transfer happens at 2 p.m. We need to be in position by 1:30. They spent the night preparing. Marcus reviewed the fake credentials, made sure everything looked legitimate. Park studied guard protocols, exit routes, contingencies. Jake cleaned his borrowed service weapon. Marcus had provided guns for all of them. No more going unarmed in the combat. Around 2 a.m., Park's phone buzzed. He checked it and went pale. What? Jake asked. News alert. Senator Vaughn just gave a press conference. He's claiming that a rogue Navy SEAL has kidnapped an FBI K-9 and is threatening to release false evidence against him. Says it's a conspiracy. Political hit job from his opponents. Marcus pulled up the video on his laptop. Vaughn stood at a podium, distinguished, authoritative, every inch the decorated war hero and family values senator. It deeply saddens me to address these malicious accusations, Vaughn said, his voice trembling with manufactured emotion. Commander Jake Mitchell is a disturbed individual, suffering from severe PTSD. He has concocted an elaborate fantasy involving child trafficking to justify his actions. The FBI K-9 he kidnapped belonged to Agent Sarah Chen, who tragically died trying to apprehend him. Lying bastard, Jake breathed. He's good, Marcus admitted, playing the victim, discrediting you before you can release the evidence. Smart. Vaughn continued. I've served this country for 40 years, first as a soldier, now as your senator. I've dedicated my life to protecting families and children. These accusations are not just false. They're an insult to every value I hold dear. I will not let them stand. I will fight these lies with every resource at my disposal. The press conference ended with Vaughn wiping fake tears. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Park looked sick. He just turned you into a mentally unstable conspiracy theorist. Even if we release the evidence now, half the country won't believe it. Then we make sure the other half does believe it, Marcus said firmly. We get Reeves to testify. We corroborate Sarah's evidence with eyewitness testimony. We make it impossible to dismiss. Jake's phone buzzed. Text from Danny Rodriguez, his compromised SEAL friend. Jake, you need to turn yourself in. I can help you. Get you a lawyer, psych evaluation, Veterans Affairs support. But you have to stop running. This is only going to get worse. Jake deleted the text. Danny wasn't trying to help. He was trying to locate them. Trying to pin down their position. We need to move, Jake said. Now. They're triangulating our location. How do you know? Because that's what I'd do. Send a friendly message. Make the target respond. Track the signal. Jake grabbed his gear. We leave now, or we're trapped. They loaded Marcus's truck. Thor jumped in the back. They pulled out just as headlights appeared on the access road. 3 vehicles, moving fast. That's a military convoy, Jake identified. Contractors, probably. Armed. Marcus floored it. The old truck protested, but responded. They took back roads, avoided highways, drove through the night with pursuers always just behind them. Around 4 a.m., they lost the tail, or thought they did. Marcus pulled into an abandoned barn. They sat in darkness, listening, waiting. How did they find us so fast? Park asked. Drones, Marcus said, or satellite. Once Vaughn gave that press conference, every law enforcement agency and intelligence service in the country started looking for Jake. We're not fighting just Vaughn anymore. We're fighting the entire system. Then maybe we shouldn't fight, Park said quietly. Maybe we should disappear. Go to ground. Wait for things to cool down. Things won't cool down, Jake said. Vaughn will hunt us until we're dead or discredited or both. The only way forward is through. We get Reeves. We get her testimony. We expose everything. And if we fail? Then Sarah died for nothing. Those kids stay in hell. And monsters keep winning. Jake's voice was steel. I'd rather die trying than live knowing I gave up. Marcus smiled. Sarah chose well. You're exactly the kind of stubborn she would have trusted. They drove through the pre-dawn darkness, reached Virginia by noon, parked 3 blocks from the county jail, reviewed the plan one last time. We go in as federal marshals, Marcus repeated. Prisoner transfer orders for Amanda Reeves. We pick her up, we leave. Simple. Nothing about this is simple, Park muttered. Jake adjusted his borrowed marshal's uniform. It fit reasonably well. Marcus looked natural in his, like he'd worn law enforcement uniforms his whole life. Which he had. Thor wore his FBI K9 vest. Clean, professional, ready for duty. Park, you stay here with the truck, engine running. If we're not back in 30 minutes, assume we're compromised and run. I'm not leaving you. That's an order, Marcus said firmly. If we all get caught, Sarah's evidence dies with us. You're the backup, the insurance policy. If we fail, you finish this. Park nodded reluctantly. 30 minutes, then I'm coming in after you. Jake and Marcus walked toward the jail entrance, Thor at Jake's heel. Professional, disciplined, just another canine team doing routine work. The front desk guard barely looked up. Help you? Federal marshals, here for a prisoner transfer. Amanda Reeves. Marcus handed over forged paperwork. The guard scanned it, frowned. I don't have any transfers scheduled for today. Check again. Federal priority. Came through this morning. The guard typed on his computer, frowned deeper. System showing nothing. Jake felt sweat trickle down his back. This was falling apart. Then Thor barked, sharp, alert. He was staring down a hallway, ears up, body tense. Your dog okay? The guard asked. He's detecting something, Jake improvised. Drugs, probably. He's trained for narcotics. Another guard emerged from the back, older, more experienced. You say you're here for Reeves? That's right. Funny. She got transferred yesterday. Federal pickup. Marshals took her to an undisclosed location. Jake's heart sank. They were too late. Vaughn had moved her first. What marshal service? Marcus asked casually. Didn't say. Classified transfer. Witness protection, maybe? The older guards studied them more carefully. You boys got ID besides those transfer orders? Marcus reached for his fake credentials. Jake's hand moved toward his weapon. This was about to go very wrong, very fast. Then Thor barked again, but different this time. Excited. He pulled toward the hallway, toward something. Thor, heel, Jake commanded. The shepherd ignored him. Rare. Thor was pulling hard now, like he'd caught a scent, like he'd found something. Your dog's not very well trained, the older guard observed suspiciously. He's trained to detect, Jake said. And he's detecting something important. Marcus caught on. Where does that hallway lead? Prisoner holding, court transfer waiting area. Why? Because if my partner's canine is alerting, there's a reason. Marcus's voice went authoritative. We need to check that area. Now. Not without proper clearance. Thor barked and lunged. His leash pulled free from Jake's hand. The shepherd took off down the hallway. Hey, stop that dog! Jake and Marcus ran after Thor. Guards shouted behind them. Alarms started blaring. Thor skidded to a stop outside a door marked, Holding Cell 3. He pawed at it, whining, insistent. Jake tried the handle. Locked. "Marcus, I need this door open." "On it." Marcus pulled a lockpick set. 3 seconds later, the door swung open. Inside was Amanda Reeves. But she wasn't alone. 2 men stood over her. Not guards, not marshals. Contractors. The same type who'd been hunting Jake. And Reeves was dead. Strangled. Still warm. "Well, hell," one of the contractors said. "This just got complicated." He drew his weapon. Jake was faster. His gun cleared leather and fired before the man's finger touched the trigger. The contractor went down. The second one dove for cover. Marcus engaged him. Gunfire echoed in the concrete space. Guards would be here in seconds. They needed to move. "Go," Marcus shouted. "I'll hold them." "Not leaving you." "That's an order, Commander. Get Thor out. Protect Sarah's evidence. Go." Jake grabbed Thor's collar. The shepherd resisted, wanted to fight, wanted to protect. "Come on, boy, we have to go." They ran, back through the hallway, alarms shrieking, guards converging. Jake fired twice over his shoulder, not to kill, just to create chaos, create space. They burst through a side door, into a loading area. Park's truck screeched around the corner. "Get in!" Jake threw himself into the passenger seat. Thor jumped in after him. Park floored it before the door even closed. "Where's Marcus?" Park shouted. "Still inside. He's holding them off." "We have to go back." "He ordered us to leave, to protect the evidence." Jake looked back at the jail. Smoke was rising from the building, gunfire still echoing. "He's buying us time. We have to use it." They drove hard, police sirens wailing behind them, helicopters appearing overhead. The manhunt was going federal now. "Reeves is dead," Jake said flatly. "They killed her before we got there. This was a trap." "They knew we were coming." Park's face went white. "How?" "Someone told them. Someone who knew our plan." Jake looked at Park. Really looked at him. "Someone who's been with us since the beginning." "You think Park's voice cracked. "You think I'm the leak?" "Are you?" "No, I swear to God, no. I would never. Sarah was my friend. She trusted me." "Then how did they know?" Jake's gun was out again, pointed at Park. "How did they know exactly when we'd be at that jail? How did they know to move Reeves yesterday and then set a trap today?" "I don't know. Maybe they've been monitoring Marcus. Maybe they hacked his communications. Maybe—" Thor growled. Low. Dangerous. He was staring at Park. "Your dog thinks I'm lying," Park said desperately. "But I'm not. I swear I'm not." Jake's finger tightened on the trigger. Every instinct screamed that Park was dirty, that he'd sold them out, that Sarah had been wrong to trust him. But Sarah had been good at reading people, better than Jake. If she'd trusted Park once, maybe there was a reason. "One more betrayal," Jake said quietly. "One more lie, and I kill you. Understand?" "Understood." They drove for 2 hours, switching vehicles twice, using back roads, avoiding cameras. Finally, pulling into a storage facility outside Richmond. Park's phone buzzed. Text message. He checked it and gasped. "What?" Jake demanded. "Marcus." He made it out. He says to meet him at the backup location. "What backup location?" "Address in D.C., an apartment. He says it's secure. Says we need to regroup and make a new plan." Jake didn't trust it. Didn't trust anything anymore. How do we know that's really Marcus? How do we know they didn't capture him and force him to send that message? "We don't," Park admitted. "But what choice do we have? Reeves is dead. Our only witness is gone. We need Marcus's contacts, his resources. We can't do this alone." He was right. As much as Jake hated admitting it, they needed help, needed guidance. "Fine, We go to DC, but we go careful. We scout the location first. We make sure it's not another trap. They drove to the DC address, an apartment building in a rough neighborhood. The kind of place where nobody asked questions and nobody called the police. Jake and Thor approached first. Park stayed with the vehicle, covering their escape if needed. The apartment was on the 3rd floor. Door unlocked. Jake pushed it open with his foot. Gun drawn. Ready. Marcus sat at a table inside, looking exhausted, blood on his shirt, but alive. "Took you long enough," Marcus said with a weak smile. "Are you hit?" "Grazed, nothing serious. I've had worse." Marcus gestured to chairs. "Sit, we need to talk." Jake entered cautiously. Thor sniffed the air, checking for threats, finding none. "They killed Reeves," Jake said. "Set a trap." "How did they know we were coming?" Marcus's face was grim. "Because I told them." The world tilted. Jake's gun came up, pointed at Marcus, at the man Sarah had trusted above all others. "What?" "I told them," Marcus repeated calmly. "Called Vaughn's people yesterday. Told them exactly when we'd be at the jail. Told them to move Reeves and set a trap." "You sold us out." "I did." Jake's finger tightened on the trigger. "Give me one reason I shouldn't kill you right now." Marcus met his eyes. No fear, no regret, just cold calculation. "Because I'm the only chance you have left. And because I needed to see how deep Vaughn's resources go, how fast they respond, how they operate under pressure." Marcus leaned forward. "I sacrificed Reeves, sacrificed our chance at a live witness. But I gained something more valuable. Intel. I know their response time, their protocols, their weaknesses." "You're insane." "I'm strategic. Sarah taught me that sometimes you have to sacrifice pawns to capture the king." Marcus's voice hardened. "Reeves was going to die anyway. Vaughn would have killed her in federal custody. At least this way, her death served a purpose. Taught us something useful. She was a human being. She was a monster who helped traffic children. Her death saves me exactly 0 tears." Marcus stood slowly. "Now put the gun down, Commander. We have work to do." Because in 36 hours, Vaughn is holding his auction, his big event. Every major player in his network will be there, and we're going to crash it. Jake kept the gun steady. "How?" "The same way we planned from the beginning. We infiltrate. We live stream. We expose every face, every crime. We burn his entire operation down in front of the whole world." "That's suicide." "Probably. But it's also the only way to make sure those children go home. The only way to honor Sarah's sacrifice." Marcus smiled. "So what do you say, Commander? You ready to finish this? Ready to complete your last mission?" Jake looked at Thor. The shepherd looked back. Calm, trusting, ready for whatever came next. Sarah had died for this. Reeves had died for this. Dozens of agents had died investigating this network. And somewhere, children were suffering, waiting for someone to save them. Jake lowered his gun. "Tell me the plan." Marcus spread blueprints across the table. Estate plans, security layouts, guard rotations. Vaughn's auction happens at the Westridge Estate. Private property, 40 acres, isolated, heavily guarded. Marcus pointed to key locations. Main house is where the auction takes place. 2nd floor ballroom. Buyers arrive through the front. Children are kept in the basement until they're brought up for bidding. Jake felt sick. How many children? Intel suggests 20, maybe more. Ages 5 to 15. Taken from across the country over the past 3 months. Marcus's voice was flat, clinical. The only way to discuss something so horrific without breaking. Security is military grade. Contractors. At least 40 armed guards, plus Vaughn's personal detail. Former Secret Service. Former Special Forces. We'll be outnumbered 20-1, Park said. Minimum. Exactly. Which is why we're not fighting our way in. We're infiltrating. Becoming invisible. Marcus looked at Jake.
You're going in as a buyer. What? Vaughn doesn't know what you look like. Not really. Photos are out there, sure, but your military records are classified. Your recent photos are sealed, and buyers at these auctions wear masks. Anonymous. Protected. Marcus pulled out a high-end suit. You put this on. You wear the mask. You act like every other monster in that room, and you get inside. And then what? Then you live stream everything. I've got encrypted channels set. Multiple backup servers.
The moment you start broadcasting, 3 major news networks get the feed simultaneously. Real time. Undeniable. Impossible to cover up. Park shook his head. They'll kill him the second they realize what he's doing. Probably. But by then, the world will be watching. Millions of people will have seen their faces, seen the children, seen the crimes. Marcus met Jake's eyes. You'll be a martyr, but those kids will go home. I'm not interested in being a martyr.
Then don't get caught. Marcus handed him a small device. Micro camera. Looks like a button. Streams directly to satellite. They can jam phones. Can't jam this. Jake examined the camera. Military grade. Expensive. Where did you get this? 20 years of connections. Some legitimate, some less so. Marcus handed devices to Park, too. Your backup. Outside the perimeter. If Jake goes dark, you extract him. Or you finish the mission if he can't. And you? Jake asked. What's your role? I'm the insurance policy. The moment that live stream starts, I'm sending evidence packages to every federal prosecutor, every law enforcement agency, every media outlet in the country. Simultaneous release. Even if they kill you, even if they kill all of us. The truth gets out. Thor barked. Sharp. Alert. He was staring at the door. Everyone froze. Hands went to weapons. Footsteps outside. Slow. Deliberate. Someone was coming.
Did you tell anyone about this location? Jake whispered.
No one.
Then how?
The door exploded inward. Flashbangs, smoke, shouting voices. Federal agents, hands up, now! Jake dove behind the table. Park returned fire. Marcus was moving toward the back window. Thor attacked the first agent through the door. Trained to disable. Trained to protect. Thor, release! Jake shouted. The shepherd obeyed reluctantly. Back toward Jake. Ready to attack again if needed. An FBI agent emerged from the smoke. Not a contractor. Real FBI. Shield. Body armor. Weapon trained. Commander Mitchell, you're under arrest for kidnapping, murder, and terrorism. Drop your weapon. I'm not a terrorist. Drop it now or we will shoot the dog. Jake's hand froze. They were targeting Thor. Using him as leverage. Okay. Don't hurt the dog. Jake placed his gun on the floor. I'm surrendering. Hands behind your head, on your knees. Jake complied.
The agents swarmed him, cuffed him, dragged him to his feet.
Marcus was already in custody, blood streaming from his nose. Park was on the ground, not moving. Park! Jake shouted. David! An agent checked Park's pulse. He's alive, unconscious, get a medic. They hauled Jake toward the door. Thor tried to follow. An agent blocked him with a riot shield. Leave the dog. Canine unit will collect him. No, he's evidence. He's FBI property. He'll be returned to the Bureau.
Jake fought against the cuffs. You don't understand. They'll kill him. They'll eliminate the evidence.
You're in no position to make demands, Commander. They threw Jake into an armored vehicle.
Marcus was shoved in beside him. The door slammed shut. Darkness. "Well," Marcus said calmly, "that went badly."
"How did they find us?"
Someone talked. Someone always talks. Marcus tested his cuffs. Secure. Professional grade. "But we're not done yet. We still have options."
"What options?" "We're arrested. The evidence is gone. Thor's going back to the FBI, where Vaughn's people will kill him." "Thor's smart, trained. He'll survive. And the evidence isn't gone. Sarah made sure of that." Marcus leaned closer, whispered, "I uploaded everything before they hit us. Backup servers, dead man switches. If I don't check in every 12 hours, everything releases automatically. To everyone." "You're bluffing." "I'm many things, Commander, but I'm not a bluffer."
Marcus smiled despite the blood on his face. Vaughn wanted to stop us. Instead, he just accelerated our timeline. The vehicle stopped. Doors opened. They were dragged out into a federal processing facility. Bright lights, concrete, the smell of disinfectant and despair. Jake was separated from Marcus, thrown into an interrogation room, left alone for 2 hours. Classic technique. Let the suspect stew. Let anxiety build. Finally, someone entered. Not an FBI agent. Not a federal prosecutor. Senator William Vaughn himself. He looked exactly like his photos. Distinguished silver hair, expensive suit, kind eyes that held nothing but cruelty underneath. "Commander Mitchell, we finally meet." Jake said nothing. "You've caused me considerable trouble. Stolen federal evidence, kidnapped a valuable canine, spread malicious lies about people who've served this country with honor." Vaughn sat across from Jake, casual, confident. "But I'm a forgiving man, a patriot. I understand that good soldiers sometimes lose their way." PTSD, combat stress. These things happen. "I'm not crazy." Of course you're not. You're a hero. 15 years serving your country. Classified missions. Lives saved. I respect that. Truly. Vaughn's voice was smooth, practiced. "Which is why I'm prepared to help you. Get you the treatment you need. Medical retirement, full benefits, a quiet life where you can heal." In exchange for what? In exchange for the truth. Admit that Agent Chen's death affected you deeply. That grief made you irrational. That you concocted a conspiracy theory to cope with trauma. Vaughn leaned forward. "Do that, and this all goes away. You get help. Your record stays clean, and we all move on." "And if I refuse?" "Then you're charged with multiple felonies. Murder, terrorism, treason. You spend the rest of your life in federal supermax. Never see daylight again. Die alone in a concrete box." Vaughn smiles. "But it won't come to that, because you're smart. You understand that some fights can't be won. And you understand that powerful people protect their interests. Always." Jake met Vaughn's eyes, saw the monster underneath the senator's mask, saw decades of cruelty, decades of children destroyed, decades of getting away with evil. "I met Sarah Chen before she died. She told me about you, about what you do, about the children. Agent Chen was mentally unstable, a good agent once, but she became obsessed, delusional, saw conspiracies everywhere. Tragic, really. She gave me evidence, video, audio, financial records, everything. Evidence that you claim exists, but mysteriously no one can find, no one can verify." Vaughn stood. "Here's what actually happened, Commander. You met a dying woman on a mountain road. She was confused, in shock. She gave you a flash drive full of nothing, just corrupted files.
digital noise, and you, in your traumatized state, convinced yourself it was evidence of some grand conspiracy. People will believe what I tell them to believe. I'm a United States Senator, war hero, presidential candidate. You're a PTSD-suffering SEAL who cracked under pressure. Vaughn moved toward the door. You have 12 hours to decide. Take my offer. Get help. Live. Or refuse and rot. He left. The door locked behind him. Jake sat in silence, anger burning through his exhaustion. Vaughn was so confident, so certain of his untouchability, so convinced that power meant protection. The door opened again. Different person. Woman. 40s. Sharp suit. FBI badge. Commander Mitchell, I am Deputy Director Rachel Foster. I need to ask you some questions. About what? About Marcus Blackwood. About his claims that there's a trafficking network operating within the federal government. Foster sat down, pulled out a tablet. He's making serious accusations, naming names, federal judges, senators, law enforcement officials. We need to investigate properly. You won't find anything. They've buried the evidence too deep. Maybe not. But we have to try. Because if Blackwood is telling the truth, if even a fraction of his claims are accurate, then we have a systemic corruption problem. Foster looked at him directly. I need to know, is there really evidence, or is this a conspiracy theory created by broken men? Jake studied her, trying to read her. Was she genuinely investigating? Or was she another of Vaughn's people, another compromised official? Sarah Chen died believing the evidence was real, believing it was worth dying for. I knew Agent Chen. She was a good investigator, thorough, careful. Foster's voice softened. But even good investigators can become obsessed, can see patterns where none exist, can convince themselves the evidence is real, the trafficking is real, the children are real. Jake's voice was firm. And in less than 36 hours, Vaughn is holding an auction at the Westridge estate. 20 children, maybe more, being sold to the highest bidders. If you're serious about investigating, you'll raid that location. Save those kids. Foster was quiet for a long moment. Then she closed her tablet. I'll look into it. That's all? You'll look into it? That's all I can promise. Without evidence, without probable cause. I can't raid a private estate based on the word of a wanted fugitive. She stood. But I'll investigate. And if I find anything at all, I'll act. She left. Jake slumped in his chair. He'd failed. Sarah's evidence was out there somewhere, but he couldn't access it. Thor was gone. Marcus was in custody. Park was unconscious. The auction would happen, and he was powerless to stop it. Hours passed. Guards brought food. Jake didn't eat. Brought water. He didn't drink. Just sat and thought, and tried to find a way out of a situation that had no exits. Around midnight, the door opened again. A guard Jake didn't recognize. You're being transferred. Come on. Transferred where? Federal holding. Different facility. More secure. The guard cuffed Jake, led him through empty corridors. The facility was nearly deserted. Late shift. Minimal staffing. They reached a loading dock. An unmarked van waited. Jake's instincts screamed. This was wrong. Transfer vans had markings, had multiple guards, had protocols. Wait, I need to... The guard shoved him forward. The van door opened. Inside were 3 men. Not guards. Contractors. Get in, Commander. We're going for a ride. Jake fought, kicked, struggled against the cuffs. But he was outnumbered. They dragged him into the van. Door slammed. Engine started. This wasn't a transfer. This was a kidnapping. Vaughn's people were taking him somewhere off books, somewhere he could disappear. The van drove for maybe 20 minutes, then stopped. Doors opened. Jake was dragged out into a warehouse. Empty. Dark. The kind of place where bad things happened and nobody heard the screams. Vaughn was there. No longer the polished senator, just a predator who'd caught his prey. "You should have taken my offer, Commander." "Where's Thor? Where's my dog?" "The canine? Dead. Disposed of. Same as you'll be in a few minutes." Vaughn signaled to the contractors. "Make it look like suicide. PTSD case. Couldn't handle the pressure. Very tragic." One of the contractors pulled out a gun, chambered around, aimed at Jake's head. Then the lights went out. Gunfire in the darkness. Shouting. Chaos. Jake dropped and rolled. Someone was attacking. Someone was... "Thor! Good boy! Attack!" The shepherd's bark echoed through the warehouse. He hit one contractor like a missile. Train takedown. Throat strike. The man went down screaming. More gunfire. Jake couldn't see who was shooting, but they were accurate. 2 more contractors dropped. The remaining ones scrambled for cover. "Jake, this way!" Park's voice, coming from the entrance. He was alive. He was here. Jake ran toward the voice, Thor at his side. They burst through the door into cold night air. Park was there with Marcus, both armed, both ready. "How? Later. Move!" Marcus threw Jake a gun. "We've got maybe 3 minutes before backup arrives." They ran for a vehicle. Different one. Stolen, probably. Piled in. Marcus drove like he was escaping hell, which he was. "How did you find me?" Jake asked. "I didn't. Thor did." Park gestured to the shepherd in the back seat. "They brought him to FBI holding. Thought they'd process him. Send him to a kennel. But Thor broke containment. Attacked 3 handlers. Escaped the facility. Then led us straight to you." Jake looked at Thor. The dog's tail wagged. Smart boy. Brave boy. Sarah had trained him well. "Where are we going?" "Virginia. Westridge Estate." Marcus checked his watch. "Auction starts in 18 hours. We're out of time. Out of options. So we're doing this now. Tonight. We're ending Vaughn." "The 3 of us against 40 guards? That's suicide." "It was suicide when it was 3 of us with a plan. Now it's 3 of us with nothing to lose and everything to gain." Marcus looked at Jake in the rearview mirror. "You promised Sarah you'd finish this. You promised those children you'd save them. So that's what we're doing. We're keeping our promises." They drove through the night, reached the Westridge estate at 4 a.m. The estate was massive, guarded, but preparations were underway for tonight's auction. Vehicles arriving, contractors setting up, security doing final sweeps. "We go in during setup," Marcus said. "Pretend we're part of the contractor crew. Get inside before they lock down." "That's the plan? Pretend? You have a better idea?" Jake didn't, so they waited, watching, learning patterns, identifying weak points. At 6 a.m., a catering truck arrived. Park approached the driver, showed FBI credentials, the real ones. "Federal investigation. We need access to that truck." The driver hesitated. Park pulled out his gun. "I'm sorry, I really am, but this is bigger than you, bigger than me, so you're going to give me those keys and walk away. And tomorrow, when you see the news, you'll understand why." The driver handed over the keys, ran. They loaded into the catering truck. Marcus drove. Park rode shotgun. Jake and Thor hid in the back among food and supplies. The truck approached the estate gates. Guards checked the manifest, checked IDs, waved them through. They were inside. Marcus parked at the service entrance. "Delivery. Catering for tonight's event."
A coordinator appeared. Clipboard, stressed.
"You're early. We're not ready for setup yet." "Early is on time. On time is late." Marcus smiled. Professional. Friendly. "Just point us where you want the stuff." The coordinator directed them to the kitchen. They unloaded boxes, moved through the estate like they belonged. Security barely glanced at them. Just another vendor, another face in the pre-event chaos. Jake memorized the layout, guard positions, camera locations, exit routes. The basement door was locked, reinforced. That's where the children were kept. "We need to get down there," Jake whispered. "Free them before the auction starts." "Can't," Marcus said quietly. "Place is crawling with security. We'd be caught immediately. We have to wait until the auction, when everyone's focused on the ballroom. Then we move." It was going to be a long day. They maintained their cover, helped set up tables, arrange chairs, act like they belonged. Hours crawled by. Around 3 p.m., the buyers started arriving. Expensive cars, masked faces, men and women in formal wear coming to purchase children like commodities. Jake felt rage burning through his exhaustion. These were monsters, all of them. Every single person walking through those doors deserved to burn. Park touched his arm. "Stay calm, stay focused. We can't help those kids if we're dead." "I know." At 7 p.m., the auction began. Buyers gathered in the ballroom. Champagne, appetizers, casual conversation about the weather and politics, and which child they were hoping to acquire. Jake activated his microcamera, started live streaming. The signal went out, encrypted, direct to satellite, to Marcus's servers, to the news networks. People around the world were now watching. Live, real-time, undeniable. Vaughn took the podium. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending tonight's exclusive event. We have an exceptional selection for you, thoroughly vetted. Completely untraceable. Now, let's begin." The first child was brought out. A girl, maybe 7 years old, terrified, crying. The bidding started. Jake's hands clenched into fists. He wanted to charge in there, wanted to end this with violence and rage. But that would only get him killed. Get the children killed. He had to trust the plan. Trust that the world was watching. Trust that justice would come. The bidding reached $200,000 for a child, for a human life reduced to currency. Jake couldn't take it anymore. He moved toward the ballroom. Park grabbed him. "Wait, not yet. I'm done waiting. Those kids need help now. And they'll get it in 3 minutes. Trust me." Then Jake heard it. Sirens. Multiple sirens, getting closer. Park smiled. "Deputy Director Foster. I called her from the truck, told her exactly where to find the evidence she needed. She came through." The estate erupted in chaos. FBI agents storming the building. Contractors engaging. Buyers scrambling. Vaughn trying to escape. Jake ran for the basement, Thor at his side. They reached the locked door. Jake didn't have tools, didn't have keys. Thor barked and hit the door. Once, twice. The lock gave way. Military training. Break and enter. The basement was dark. Jake found lights, turned them on. 20 children, ranging from 5 to 15. Chained. Terrified. But alive. "It's okay," Jake said gently. "We're here to help. You're safe now. You're going home." Behind him, FBI agents were securing the estate, arresting everyone, reading rights, documenting evidence. Upstairs, Senator William Vaughn was in handcuffs. trying to maintain dignity, trying to claim innocence, trying to buy his way out. But there was no buying out of this. The world had watched. Millions of people saw his face, saw the auction, saw the crimes. Justice had come for him at last. Jake knelt in the basement with 20 terrified children surrounding him. Some cried, some were silent. All of them looked at him with eyes that had seen too much horror for their young lives. "My name is Jake. I'm here to take you home. All of you. I promise." The youngest, a girl maybe 5 years old, reached out and touched his uniform. "Are you a soldier?" "Yes, ma'am. Navy SEAL." "My daddy was a soldier. He died." Jake's throat tightened. "I'm sorry, but I bet he'd be proud of how brave you're being right now." "I wasn't brave. I cried." Crying doesn't mean you're not brave. Crying means you're still fighting, still here, still alive. Jake gestured to Thor. "This is Thor. He's going to help me protect you. Is that okay?" The girl nodded, reached out to pet Thor. The shepherd stayed perfectly still, gentle, patient, trained to comfort trauma victims. FBI agents entered the basement. Medical personnel, social workers. They moved carefully, speaking softly, trying not to cause more fear. Deputy Director Foster approached Jake. "We need to process them, document injuries, start reunification with families." "How long will that take?" "Days, weeks for some. We need to verify identities, locate parents. Some of these kids have been missing for years. Some of their families think they're dead." Jake looked at the children being led upstairs, wrapped in blankets, given water and food, beginning the long journey of healing. "What about the buyers, the people who came here tonight?" 47 arrested so far. We're still processing. Most are claiming they were here for a legitimate charity event. Didn't know about the auction. Innocent victims of Vaughn's deception. Foster's voice dripped with disgust. "But we have the live stream. We have their faces. We have them on camera bidding on children. They can claim whatever they want. Evidence doesn't lie." "And Vaughn?" "In custody, lawyered up immediately, refusing to talk. But it doesn't matter. We have enough to put him away for life. Multiple life sentences, actually." Jake felt something loosen in his chest. Relief. Exhaustion. Grief for Sarah, who should have been here to see this, who died to make this moment possible. "Commander Mitchell," Foster continued, "you're still technically under arrest. Multiple charges. But given the circumstances, given what you uncovered, I'm recommending that all charges be dropped. You're a hero, not a criminal. I'm not a hero. Sarah Chen was the hero. I just finished what she started. Then you're both heroes, and the country owes you both a debt we can never repay." Marcus appeared in the doorway, bloodied, exhausted, grinning like a man who'd just won the lottery. "They got him. Vaughn's done. Finished. His whole network is collapsing. Arrests happening in 12 states. Judges, senators, police chiefs. Everyone. How many total? Over 200 so far, and the number keeps climbing. Every person we arrest starts talking, making deals, giving up others, like dominoes." Marcus laughed. It sounded slightly unhinged. 20 years. I've been fighting these people for 20 years, and in one night, it's over. Park entered behind Marcus. He was limping, favoring his left side where he'd been shot during the firefight, but alive, smiling. All 20 children are accounted for. Medical is checking them now. No serious physical injuries. Psychological trauma will take years to heal. But they're safe. They're going home. Jake felt tears burning his eyes. He didn't fight them. Let them fall. For Sarah. For the children. for the relief of finishing the mission. Thor pressed against his leg, offering comfort, offering connection. The dog understood grief, understood victory, understood that sometimes emotions were complicated and messy, and that was okay. "What happens now?" Jake asked. "Now we document everything, build prosecutions, prepare for trials. It'll take months, maybe years, but we make sure every single person involved faces justice." Foster looked at him seriously. "And I'll need you to testify. All of you. Your testimony will be crucial." "Whatever you need." They left the estate as dawn broke. 20 children loaded into ambulances and FBI vehicles, heading to hospitals, to safety, to the long road of recovery. Jake rode with Marcus and Park, Thor in the back seat, all of them too exhausted to speak. Jake's phone buzzed. It was working again, probably because he wasn't a fugitive anymore. He checked the messages. Hundreds of them. News requests, interview requests, people calling him a hero, people calling him a vigilante. One message stood out, from Danny Rodriguez, his compromised SEAL friend. "Jake, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. They had my family, threatened my wife, my kids. I had to cooperate, had to tell them where you were. Please understand, I never wanted to betray you." Jake stared at the message, felt anger, felt betrayal, but also felt understanding. These people were good at finding pressure points, good at exploiting weaknesses. Danny had made a choice, a bad choice, but an understandable one. He deleted the message without responding. Some betrayals couldn't be forgiven. Not yet. Maybe not ever. They reached Marcus's safe house. Different one. Actually secure this time. Collapsed inside. Slept for 16 hours straight. Jake woke to find Thor watching him. The shepherd hadn't left his side. Hadn't eaten. Hadn't moved. Just watched. Protected. "You miss her, don't you? Miss Sarah?" Thor's tail thumped sadly. "Me too, boy. Me too." The trials began 3 months later. The media coverage was unprecedented. Every major network, every newspaper, the live stream from the auction had been viewed over 1 billion times. The world had watched evil in real time, had seen the faces, heard the bids, witnessed the horror. There was no denying it, no covering it up, no buying their way out. Senator William Vaughn's trial lasted 6 weeks. Jake testified for 3 days, described finding Sarah, described her dying words, described the flash drive, described everything. Vaughn's lawyers tried to discredit him, claimed PTSD, claimed mental instability, claimed he'd fabricated evidence. Then Marcus testified. Then Park testified. Then the technical experts who'd verified Sarah's recordings. Then the financial experts who'd traced the money. Then the rescued children, those brave enough to speak, who described their captivity. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 8 consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole. Vaughn would die in prison, would never see freedom again, would never hurt another child. When the verdict was read, Vaughn's mask finally dropped. The distinguished senator disappeared. The monster remained. "You think you've won?" Vaughn shouted as they led him away. "You think this changes anything? There are others, hundreds of others. You stopped one network. They'll build another."
They always do.
"Maybe," Jake said quietly. "But they'll do it without you. And every time they try, people like Sarah Chen will be there to stop them. People who care more about justice than comfort. Who fight even when fighting seems impossible. Vaughn was dragged from the courtroom screaming. Jake watched him go and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no triumph, just exhaustion and the knowledge that the mission was complete. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed. Jake read a prepared statement. FBI Special Agent Sarah Chen died investigating crimes that powerful people wanted to keep hidden. She gave her life protecting children she'd never met. She trusted me with her evidence and her mission. And today, justice was served. Not just for Sarah, for every child who suffered, for every family that was destroyed, for everyone who believed that monsters couldn't be stopped. Today, we proved them wrong. He didn't take questions, just walked away with Thor at his side and Marcus and Park flanking him. "What now?" Park asked. "We've spent 3 months preparing for this trial. Now it's over. What do we do?" "We keep fighting," Marcus said. "Vaughn was right about one thing. There are other networks, other predators. We can't stop them all, but we can stop some, and that matters." Jake looked at Thor. "What do you think, boy? You ready to keep fighting?" Thor barked once. Affirmation. Agreement. He was a working dog. He needed purpose, needed mission, just like Jake. "Then we keep fighting." The media coverage continued for weeks. Dozens of additional arrests. More networks uncovered. More children saved. Sarah's investigation had exposed a rot that went deeper than anyone imagined. But Jake's actions, his refusal to give up, his determination to honor Sarah's sacrifice, had inspired others to come forward, to speak up, to fight back. A congressional hearing was called. Jake was asked to testify about trafficking networks and how to combat them. "The problem isn't lack of laws," Jake told the assembled senators and representatives. "The problem is lack of will. Trafficking networks operate because powerful people protect them, because money buys silence, because victims are invisible until someone forces the world to see them." "What do you recommend?" a senator asked. "I recommend that we stop protecting powerful people when they commit crimes. I recommend that we believe victims when they come forward. I recommend that we fund investigations and prosecutions. And I recommend that we honor people like Sarah Chen, who gave their lives to this fight." Jake's voice hardened. She died because someone inside the FBI leaked her location. Someone Vaughn paid off. Someone who valued money more than justice. We need to find that person. Prosecute them. Make an example that corruption will not be tolerated. The hearing resulted in new legislation. The Sarah Chen Act. Increased penalties for trafficking. Increased funding for investigations. Protections for whistleblowers and witnesses. It wouldn't stop all trafficking. Wouldn't save every child. But it was something. It was progress. It was Sarah's legacy written into law. 6 months after Vaughn's conviction, Jake received a package. No return address. Just his name and a Montana postmark. Inside was a USB drive and a letter. "Commander Mitchell, you don't know me, but I knew Sarah Chen. I was her friend from college. She asked me to hold on to this. Said if anything ever happened to her, I should send it to whoever finished her investigation. So here it is. I hope it brings you some peace. Jennifer Lynn." Jake plugged in the USB drive. One video file, dated 3 days before Sarah's death. He pressed play. Sarah appeared on screen. She looked tired, scared, but determined. She was in her apartment, setting up the camera, sitting down in front of it. "If you're watching this, I'm probably dead. And if you're watching this, it means you finished what I started. So thank you. Thank you for having the courage I'm not sure I have. Thank you for being brave when I was scared. Thank you for making sure my death mattered." She paused, wiped her eyes. "I'm recording this because I need to say some things.
things I might not get the chance to say otherwise. First, to Marcus. You taught me everything. You showed me what real justice looks like. I'm sorry I didn't listen when you told me to be careful. I'm sorry I got myself killed. But I'm not sorry I fought. You taught me that some battles are worth dying for. You were right. Another pause. To David Park, my old partner, my friend. I know you'll blame yourself when I die. Don't. You made the right choice years ago when you stepped away from this case. You chose your family over the investigation.
That's not cowardice. That's love. But if you're watching this, it means you found your way back. It means you chose to fight again. I'm proud of you. Tears were streaming down Jake's face now. And to whoever finished this, to whoever took my evidence and made sure those children got home. I don't know your name, don't know your face, but I know you're brave. I know you're strong. I know you cared about children you'd never met. And I know that finishing this probably cost you everything.
Your career, your freedom, maybe your life. Sarah leaned toward the camera. So I need you to know something. You are a hero. Not because you saved those children, though you did, and that matters more than anything. But because you chose courage over comfort. You chose to stand up when staying silent was easier. You chose to fight, even when fighting seemed impossible. Her voice cracked. That's what heroes do. Not the big speeches or the medals or the recognition. Just the quiet choice, made every day, to do what's right, even when it's hard. She smiled, sad but genuine. Take care of Thor for me. He's a good boy. The best partner I ever had. He deserves a good life after all this. Deserves peace. She wiped her eyes again. And take care of yourself. Whatever you sacrificed to finish my mission, whatever it cost you, please know it was worth it. Those children going home, those families being reunited, that's worth everything. Sarah stood, moved toward the camera. Her hand reached out to turn it off. Then she paused. One more thing. My parents, they live in Seattle. If you can, if you're able, please tell them I love them. Tell them I died doing something that mattered. Tell them I'm sorry I didn't call more often. Tell them... Her voice broke completely. Tell them their daughter was brave, even when she was scared, especially when she was scared. The video ended. Jake sat in silence. Thor was pressed against him, sensing grief, offering comfort. She knew, Jake whispered. She knew she was going to die, and she did it anyway. That's what courage looked like. Not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite fear. The decision that some things mattered more than personal safety. Sarah had made that choice, had died for it, and Jake was going to make sure the world never forgot her name. He contacted Sarah's parents, met them at a small cafe in Seattle, brought Thor with him. The shepherd who'd been Sarah's partner, her friend, her family. Sarah's mother cried when she saw Thor, hugged the dog like he was her daughter. Thank you for bringing him, for keeping him safe. He kept me safe, Jake said, honestly. Saved my life, multiple times. Sarah trained him well. She loved that dog more than anything, except maybe her job, except maybe those children she was trying to save. Sarah's father was crying too, quiet tears, dignified grief. Did she suffer at the end? Jake thought about lying, thought about making it easier. But Sarah's parents deserved the truth. She was in pain, but she was brave. She made me promise to finish her investigation, to save the children, to protect Thor. Her last thoughts were about her mission, about doing what was right.
Jake's voice was steady. "She asked me to tell you that she loved you, that she was sorry she didn't call more often, that she died doing something that mattered."
She always wanted to matter, her mother said. Even as a little girl, always wanted to help people, save people, make the world better.
She succeeded. 20 children went home because of her. Over 200 criminals were arrested because of her. New laws were passed because of her. She changed the world. That's her legacy. They talked for hours. Sarah's parents shared stories, showed photos. Jake told them about her final moments, about her courage, about her sacrifice. When he left, Sarah's mother hugged him.
"Thank you for honoring our daughter, for making sure her death meant something."
She made it mean something. I just finished what she started. 1 year after Sarah's death, a memorial was unveiled at FBI headquarters. A bronze plaque with her name and the names of other agents who died investigating trafficking networks. A reminder that the fight for justice cost lives, that heroes were real and walked among us. Jake attended the ceremony. Marcus spoke. Park spoke. Deputy Director Foster spoke. Then Jake was invited to the podium. I didn't know Sarah Chen very well. Met her once, for about 10 minutes, while she was dying on a mountain road. Jake looked at the assembled crowd. Agents, officers, Sarah's family. But in those 10 minutes, she taught me something crucial. She taught me that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about being terrified and doing what's right anyway.
It's about knowing you might die and choosing to fight regardless.
He gestured to the memorial. Sarah Chen fought for children she'd never met, died protecting evidence that would save lives she'd never know, trusted a stranger with her mission because she believed that good people still existed, that justice still mattered, that one person could change the world. Jake's voice strengthened. She was right, about all of it, and every child who went home. Every family reunited. Every monster brought to justice. That's her legacy. That's what she died for. And as long as people remember her name, as long as we keep fighting the fights she started, she isn't really gone. She's still here, still inspiring, still changing the world. The ceremony ended with a moment of silence. Jake stood before Sarah's memorial and made a silent promise. He'd keep fighting, keep protecting, keep making sure her sacrifice meant something. Thor pressed against his leg. The shepherd who'd been Sarah's partner had become Jake's partner. Together, they'd formed a new organization, Mitchell Chen Foundation, dedicated to finding missing children, supporting trafficking investigations, training K-9 units specifically for victim recovery. The work was hard. The funding was difficult. The victories were small and slow. But they kept fighting, because that's what Sarah would have wanted. That's what the children deserved. That's what heroes did. Jake returned home that evening, to a modest house he'd bought with money from his military retirement and donations from people who'd seen the live stream, who believed in the mission, who wanted to help. Thor was on the porch waiting, tail wagging, happy to be home. "Hey boy, good day?" Thor barked. Yes. Always yes with Thor. The dog lived in the present, found joy in simple things, reminded Jake that life was worth living, even after loss. Inside, Jake's phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. "Got a case. 13-year-old girl missing in Colorado. Local police aren't taking it seriously. Family's desperate. Interested?" Jake looked at Thor. "You up for another mission?" Thor's tail wagged faster. "All right then, let's go to work." Because that was the truth. Sarah Chen had died teaching him. The fight never ended. Evil never stopped. But neither did good, as long as people were willing to stand up, willing to fight, willing to risk everything for those who couldn't protect themselves. Jake Mitchell had been a Navy SEAL for 15 years, had fought terrorists in a dozen countries, had completed missions that would never be declassified, had earned medals he wasn't allowed to wear publicly. But the most important mission of his life had started on a mountain road with a dying FBI agent and a German shepherd, had continued through betrayal and violence and impossible odds, had ended with justice for the forgotten and punishment for the powerful. And now it began again. Every day, every case, every child who needed saving. Because Sarah Chen had taught him that some missions never end. Some fights are worth continuing forever. Some promises must be kept, no matter the cost. He'd promised her he'd finish what she started, and he'd keep that promise. Every single day for the rest of his life. That was his legacy. That was his purpose. That was why heroes existed. Not to win every battle, but to keep fighting anyway. To stand up when others sat down. To speak out when others stayed silent. To save those who couldn't save themselves. Sarah Chen had done that with her life. And Jake Mitchell would honor her by doing it with his. The world needed heroes. Not the kind from movies or comic books, but the real kind. The scared kind. The broken kind. The kind who fought anyway, because someone had to. Because children needed saving. Because justice still mattered. Because evil only won when good people did nothing. Jake wasn't perfect, wasn't fearless, wasn't invincible. He was just a man with a dog and a mission and a promise to keep. But that was enough. It had to be enough. Because Sarah Chen had believed it was enough when she'd handed him that flash drive with her dying breath. Had believed that one person could change the world if they were brave enough to try. She'd been right, and Jake would spend the rest of his life proving it. One child at a time, one case at a time, one victory at a time, until the day he died or the fight was won, whichever came first.